You are now listening to the Girl Organize That Life podcast. Coach L3.
Hi, welcome to the Girl Organize That Life podcast, where I am your host, Leslie Latimore-Lorfils, affectionately known as Coach L3. As a mother of 12, who has also served as a senior military officer for nearly 3 decades alongside my husband, I can certainly understand and appreciate who I call the 3C sisters: crazy, chaos, and confusion. If you are an executive level mom, mompreneur, or lady leader who perhaps still struggles with burnout, you have come to the right place where you can receive strategies and tips on how to pivot with poise and conquer the noise. I invite you to take this journey with us to increase your clarity, your confidence, and to conquer the overwhelm. Hope to see you there.
Coach L3.
Hey girl, hey, and welcome back to the Girl Organize That Life podcast, where we are empowering executive level moms, mompreneurs, and lady leaders who still may struggle with burnout and overwhelm and all of the things. And here we want you to learn how to pivot with poise despite the noise so that you can be more centered and have a more calm life about you as you go about your daily operations. Now, in season 2, which we're in now, we wanted to kind of dig a little deeper with the topics that we went over in season 1. And for today, for this episode, we're going to talk about a sabbatical, talk about strategic rest, and when stepping back will actually propel you forward, right? Think about it. Let's talk about this for a minute. I'll give an example. This week was not like a bad week, but I had been traveling. I had a major event. Son plays D1 college football. So we flew to Texas, drove a few hours to the game, drove back, got up early the next morning, went to 2 church services, caught up with some friends, had an impromptu thing where we had to get our daughter who's in the military, get her to a location so she could get to her next location, and came back and rested a little bit, and it was back off to the races. And so in those moments, I just recognized I am so exhausted. And many of us, because we're high functioning people, because we have so many demands on us, because we want to make sure that when we show up for people, we show up in excellency, we sometimes forget to pause and say, wait, I have really got to bring it back and take a rest. A strategic rest is what we're talking about. And think about it. You have your work, your family, your passion projects, and it feels like you're always on the go, as I just described, right? But here's the reality. When we are constantly moving without pause and running, we run the risk of running on empty. And that's why taking a sabbatical or practicing strategic rest can actually be a game changer. And so that's something that we really want to look into today. So really want to talk about. Now, let's be clear. A sabbatical isn't just about laying on the beach for 6 months, although that sounds so amazing. Okay. And though that's what we need, I'm all for it. But it's about intentional rest, like stop kind of rest and being okay with it. It's a period where you step away from your daily grind and recharge to gain probably some new perspective and prepare for your next move. And because of the many things that we have pulling at us, sometimes we don't allow ourselves to be intentional about taking that pause, right? Sabbaticals can range from a few weeks. They can go a few months or even longer, depending on your personal and professional circumstances. Okay. So I really want you all to really think about that. And what does that mean? And I get it. The idea of taking a sabbatical might seem impossible, and it may seem frightening, because if you're anything like me, you're thinking about, I can't pause. I want to pause, but I can't pause, because if I pause, something else is going to pause. Something may not get accomplished. Like, what about my job? What about my business? What about my family? But hear me really good. The truth is, stepping away may be exactly what you need to come back stronger and even more focused. Imagine that. This is what rest does. And so we have to be very intentional and strategic about it, right? Also, I want to say, those people who take sabbaticals, they return to work with like a greater creativity, greater productivity, and motivation, which is like huge. Okay. They tend to be more innovative, and they have a clear vision for what they want to do next, for their next achievement, the next goal. Okay. And so right now we're going to talk about like how to approach taking a sabbatical, even if you've never thought about it, or if you thought, I can't afford to take time off. I want to shift that mindset right now. Okay. So I'm going to give you a few steps that you can implement in real time so you can feel some relief, right? That's what we're here for. Step 1, I want you to plan with intention. Okay, plan with intention. First and foremost, a sabbatical isn't something that you just jump into. It takes planning. You need to be intentional about why you're taking a break and what it is you need to get out of it. So it isn't just, okay, I'm just going to stop and pause. What is your end state, as we call it in the military? Are you seeking mental clarity? Are you seeking spiritual renewal? Do you need to tackle burnout head on? Are you planning for your next big career move? Like, these are the things that you got to think about. So when we're talking about taking a sabbatical, the first thing you need to really do, like we do everything else, is define your why, so that your time away will actually serve an actual purpose, right? This makes it easier to explain to your colleagues or your family members why you're doing what you're doing. And guess what? It also helps you to maintain focus during your time off. Imagine that. So be intentional about your planning. The second step, and we've talked about this before, but I want to emphasize it to drive it home: set clear boundaries. Clear boundaries. Because if the boundaries are muddy, you still may have some challenges, right? Now, just because you step away, it doesn't mean the world will stop moving. None of us are indispensable, including you, my friends, including you, the high achieving woman, including you, the boss lady. None of us are indispensable. We all have this one body, this one temple that we have to take care of if we're going to continue to show up in the highest version of us, right? And trust me, the temptation to check in, to answer emails, to handle more than one task, it's still going to be there, because that's kind of your fiber. That's been your undercurrent for a very long time. But the key to a successful sabbatical or rest period is setting and sticking to clear boundaries. Hear what I just said. Don't just set them, stick to them. Whether it's handing off responsibilities to a trusted team member or telling your clients that you'll be unavailable, it's crucial to protect your time. It really is. Because that is the one resource we cannot replace. We cannot replenish. Time is time. Once it's gone, it's gone. So think about it this way. You're not just doing this for yourself, okay? Even though you think you are, maybe subconsciously, you're doing this for the people and projects that you care about. You'll come back better for them if you give yourself permission to truly disconnect. Did y'all hear what I said? Give yourself permission. Give yourself the green light. Give yourself the okay to step away. Okay, so that's step 2. Step 3, you're going to embrace the uncomfortable. And you're probably like, what does she mean? by that. Here's the truth. Slowing down because it's not your norm may feel uncomfortable. I just said, when you feel like you're going to take time, it's like, uh-oh, what am I forgetting to do? If you're used to being in constant motion, resting can feel unnatural, okay? Or even make you feel guilty. I've talked about the mom guilt. We have to lose that. We got to lose the guilty, okay? But that discomfort is part of the process. This is something, here at Girl Organize That Life, we are wanting to give you some real strategies. And sometimes the strategy is going to make you uncomfortable. Why? Because you have been operating in this vein for however many years. And so there are some things for your success to manifest, you are going to have to unlearn and undo and not even recultivate, but cultivate maybe some new habits or refine some old habits, because they say old habits die hard, right? When you're used to pushing yourself, your brain will need time to adjust to a slower pace. It really, I mean, I know when I get in my bed at night, I'm like, okay, Leslie, this is rest time. And I literally have to make myself like zen, shut it down, right? Your brain will need time for a slower pace. It's in the stillness where the magic happens. I'm chuckling because even as I facilitate this particular segment, I'm also talking to me, because oh my gosh, I can totally relate to what it is to be going, going, going. And all of a sudden you're like, and it's like, oh my gosh. So I get that, but it's in the stillness where you're really going to find new ideas, where they're going to form, where solutions to old problems, all of a sudden they just emerge and clarity comes through. All of us need clarity on what it is we're doing. And we need clarity all the time. Okay. So embrace the uncomfortable. Step 4, re-enter with clarity. Finally, after your time away, re-entry is just as important as the sabbatical itself. Use your last few days of rest to reflect on what you've learned, to think about how your mindset has shifted, because there will be a shifting if you're in the stillness. You take time to sit in it. Take time to ease back into your routine. It's like easing yourself off of medication. You have to wean. You have to wean yourself coming back to your life as you know it. So you have to take time to ease back into your routine with purpose. Also, what new priorities may have emerged for you? Because again, you're sitting in that stillness, and that's where all the magic happens. That's where all the clarity comes. That's where all the solutions, as we talked about. If you were intentional about the way you stepped away, re-entering the workplace or your projects or your family life or however, or whatever it is, will feel more focused and aligned. That was my word for this year. Alignment. So important. Okay. So I want to share a quick story with you. A friend of mine, let's just call her Tina. She was working herself into the ground, high achieving, always busy, never taking a break. How many, does it sound like anybody here? But as she was exhausted, one day she decided enough was enough. She took a 6-week sabbatical. No work, no emails, no deadlines. She filled her calendar with days of rest, reflection, reconnection with her family. When she came back to work, she had so much clarity that she ended up not only reorganizing her entire department, but launching a passion project she had been dreaming about for years. Like, can you imagine what other things you could be doing just by taking a strategic and very intentional rest in that of a sabbatical? I mean, right? The point is, when we give ourselves permission to pause, we come back more aligned with our purpose. And that is where true power lies. We walk the earth. Sometimes, we're focused or what have you. And sometimes we're feeling that overwhelm creep. And it's because we need to do this more. So I encourage you all to do that. Here's my challenge for you. Here's my challenge for you. I want you to start small if you have to, because I always say you cannot boil an ocean. You cannot eat an entire elephant in one sitting. You just can't. You have to take baby steps. Even a weekend or a day of unplugging can make a world of difference, but be intentional about it, right? Make it count. Example, give you this quick example, and then we're going to go ahead and close it out and give you your time back. Mother's Day is always a special day of the year, right? Everybody wants to celebrate you. But one year I chose to celebrate myself. I was in a place where I just said, I just need some time for me. And so what I did, I checked into a hotel on a Friday. I explained to my family, and I said, I will see you guys on Mother's Day on that Sunday. And let me tell you, that has been such a game changer. And I say I'll do it every year. I've been kind of sporadic over the last few years. I've done it. And then, or if I don't go to a hotel, I'll just kind of come to my basement. I call it my she shed, my tranquil place. And I just tell the family, hey, I'm off limits until, and I'll see you guys then. But when I tell you it's a game changer. And so when you're intentional about it, you got to make it count. And I made that time count for me, and it has paid dividends in my life, right? So I want you to do that. I want you to think about possibly a full sabbatical. It may sound like something that your heart and mind are calling. And if that's the case, start planning for it. Think about that, even if it's a day. If it's a half a day, because you know why? You deserve the rest. You deserve to come back stronger. So I want you guys to give yourselves permission to do just that. Okay. And so that is what I wanted to drop with you all today. I wanted you all to really embrace on what it is you need to do about taking a strategic sabbatical, strategic rest, recapping. Step 1, you're going to plan with intention. You're really going to lean in. Step 2, you're going to set the clear boundaries for yourselves. Okay. Step 3, embrace the uncomfortable, because it will be, because it's something new. Step 4, when you come back, you're going to re-enter with clarity. Absolutely. And I want you to take those 4 steps and be about it. Don't just think it or say it. I want you to embrace it and do it. Y'all know that logo, Nike, just do it. Be like Nike and just do it, right? Because it all ties into how you show up. How you show up. But before you can show up for anyone else, before you can show up for the family, before you can show up for the job, before you can show up for your business, whatever capacity you're trying to show up for, guess who you have to show up for first? That would be you, my sweet beauties. So I want to thank you all for tuning in today's episode at Girl Organize That Life. I hope that this conversation about a sabbatical and strategic rest really, really, really encourages you to pause, to take the pause that you need in your life. And remember that stepping back doesn't mean you're losing anything. It doesn't mean you're losing momentum. In fact, believe it or not, it might be just the key to propel you forward. Okay. Until next time, stay organized, stay focused, stay empowered, and remember to pivot with poise despite the noise. I'll see you on the next episode. Meanwhile, bye-bye for now.
Coach L3.